So, good evening, everyone. We will be meeting next time for revision, but this is the last part that is left before examination. This is related to chapter number uh, 13, sorry, 14. So, this is part of the chapter called ecosystem, and it's the last part which will include about nutrient cycling. So I told you the role of decomposers in ecosystem is enormous as they are responsible for maintaining the balance of the ecosystem. Okay. Now, this balance is maintained by the different nutrients that is getting recycled. So, why nutrient cycling is so important? Because we know as per the law of conservation of mass can neither be created nor be destroyed. So when I am eating some kind of food, that food item is consumed by me. It is broken down into micromolecules, atoms, and finally I am getting some energy and other benefits from the food. But food that is consumed by me, if that will be present inside me for a long time, and after my death also it will be present inside me, from where the next generation will obtain food, because the matter is consumed by me, no? So there should be a means by which matter consumed by me should get back to the others. So how that is possible? That is possible by decomposition of the body. We know the most eternal truth of life is death, and this death is required so that the particles present in our body can return back to the earth and others can utilize this. So we will talk about various nutrient cycling, and basically they are carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus. Apart from that, calcium is also there, but they are present in a specific amount in the soil, and there this specific amount at a given time is called standing state. Now in each ecosystem this standing state is fixed, but from ecosystem to ecosystem it will vary. For example, if I'm talking about ecosystem of mangrove forest, there the soil composition will be different. The soil will be clayey soil. In desert, it will be sandy soil. Or maybe in some places, it will be only desert. In desert, it will be sand only. So obviously, the composition will vary. But for a specific type of ecosystem, it is specific and it is known as standing state of that ecosystem. So they are recycled again and again, as I mentioned, and these cycles are known as biogeochemical cycle. Now, why this is called biogeochemical cycle? Because beta, in this line, two words are bio and geo. So the cycling is occurring basically between two systems. One is living organism, which is represented by this bio word, and other is geo, means earth. So it is the cyclic turnover of chemicals. It is the cyclic turnover of chemicals between living organism and earth. Okay, so that's why the name is biogeochemical cycle. So these nutrient cycles can be basically of two types. If the element that is getting circled or the molecular form that is getting circled is gaseous, we call them gaseous cycle. For example, nitrogen cycle or carbon cycle, because it may be present in the form of uh, uh, CaCO3 in environment, but basically in air atmosphere it is present in the form of CO2. Whereas certain things are there which are never ever present in the form of gas, naturally in the environment, that is sulfur and phosphorus. That's why they are called sedimentary cycle. Now you can ask me कि मैम सल्फर भी तो सल्फर डाइऑक्साइड बनाता है विच इज अ गैस, फॉस्फोरस भी तो फॉस्फोरस फ्यूम्स बनाता है. So all these are formed, but they are not generally formed naturally in the environment. If I am burning FeSO4, it will release SO2, SO3, which are gaseous, but naturally it is not occurring. So there are certain environmental factors like soil, the moisture content of the environment, the pH of the soil, or like the moisture content of the soil, or at what temperature the cycle will be getting conducted. All these things will decide the rate of release of nutrients. In the area where temperature is comparatively lower, moisture is comparatively less, like obviously at that those areas the rate of reaction of breaking down of these compounds will be lesser, and that's why the cycle speed is quite slow, and it is very difficult to get recover the used amount. Now apart from that, we need to understand we interfere and Kokan knows everywhere. So there are certain things which we do which may cause change in these factors, and it may cause change in the rhythm of the cycle. And if that is done, then there will be a deficit of nutrient caused due to this imbalance, and there should be a constant rate of influx and efflux. Influx matlab in cycle things should come, and from cycle things should return to the earth. That means the things present in the dead living organism or even living like excretory substance or certain things secreted by us or eliminated by us can be also used and get back to the system. So imbalance is responsible for creating a chaos. Now, we will talk about each and every nutrient cycle. First, I will talk about carbon cycle. It is very simple one, and you must have studied about this in lower grades. In atmosphere, the percentage of carbon dioxide is 1%. This is too high. Actually, it was less day by day due to our over exploitation of petroleum fuel. It increases. So in organism, its percentage is 49%. In ocean, there is dissolved carbon, and it regulates the amount of atmospheric carbon, and it is the highest source, that is 71. Apart from that, there is fossil fuel. So four entities are involved in carbon cycle. One is atmosphere, second is living organism, third is ocean, and fourth one is fossil fuel. So the carbon dioxide present in atmosphere is dissolved in water, and this dissolved carbon dioxide is converted into calcareous sediments. What is this calcareous sediment? Any idea, anyone? What do we mean by calcareous sediment? I hope you are aware that aquatic system has mollusks. Mollusks has shell, and their shells have much amount of calcium carbonate, So this, when they die, the shell's carbon that is present in the carbonate is getting deposited here. Okay. Now, not only the dissolved carbon dioxide in water is sedimented on bottom part as calcareous sediment. Apart from that, the plants which are phytoplanktons, they actually can absorb carbon dioxide for their photosynthesis, and when they die, their bodies are also deposited as organic sediment in the soil. You must be aware that carbohydrate, protein, fat, all of them are having or property of organic molecule, and they are made up of carbon. There are other elements, but the basic backbone is made up of carbon. I hope you are aware of that. Dish, Abhi?
Yes, ma'am.
So obviously, when those dead bodies decompose, the carbon will be released. Now, apart from that, what is the other method of consumption? So one method is dissolved carbon dioxide, which is getting dissolved in water bodies and finally utilized by animals to form shells and other parts, and finally after that is sedimented. Second method is photosynthesis. In terrestrial system also, photosynthesis is a major mode for absorption of CO2. Now, if you look into the method for returning CO2 into atmosphere and the method of like utilizing CO2 from the atmosphere, you will be shocked. The systems which are actually like consuming CO2 in the atmosphere are only photosynthesis and some amount of dissolved CO2. Whereas the CO2 is utilized by dissolved CO2, respiration, burning of fossil fuel, burning of coal and other things. So how many methods are there for returning it? You have like using it, that means one. You have another method of using it, that is two. You have third method of using it, that is burning of fossil fuel. Okay. But how many methods are there for returning it to the atmosphere? There is only and only one method, that is photosynthesis, which is responsible for using this CO2 and reducing its amount. So 1, 2, 3 methods are there which are actually increasing the amount, and only one method is there which is decreasing the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere. So what is the conclusion you can make from this? Both of you, what should we do?
And it has significantly as a carbon cycle increased. Carbon amount of carbon has increased in the atmosphere.
Yes. So you can understand we are using increasing carbon in the atmosphere by exhaling. We are actually increasing carbon dioxide when we are burning something. Only method by which carbon dioxide is reduced is by photosynthesis. So obviously we need to make sure, obviously we cannot say, we cannot take oath that we will from today onwards we will not respire. Is that possible? No. But we can take oath to minimize use of fossil fuel so that carbon dioxide thrown out in the atmosphere should be fixed. Okay. So this is about carbon cycle. Let's move further. So you can see 4 multiplied by 10 raised to 13 kg of carbon is fixed per year by photosynthesis. And similarly, one process, biochemical process, is responsible for fixation, but other biochemical process, that is respiration, is throwing out CO2 in the atmosphere. Why? Because plants can utilize CO2 and release CO2, but we animal can only release CO2. We cannot utilize CO2. Okay, that's why plants are so important. Now, sometimes whenever there is decomposition of dead organic matter, decomposition means what? It's a kind of process where breakdown is occurring, and finally there will be respiration to so that CO2 will be released. Burning is also releasing. So when we are causing deforestation, so what we are doing, we are reducing the resource which will be helpful for increasing carbon dioxide amount, and we are increasing carbon dioxide amount. So double-edged sword ki tarah it is affecting the environment. We should plant trees so that the CO2 amount can be decreased. Can you suggest the bad effect of increasing CO2 amount in the atmosphere? What will be the bad effect?
Ma'am, bad effect will be we cannot properly respirate. Respiration will not be proper.
Okay. Apart from that,
Ma'am, causes environment pollution more.
it will cause global warming also. Don't you think that it will cause global warming also due to greenhouse effect?
Yes, ma'am.
So still we are doing such kind of activities. So anyways, as a sensible human being, we should always try to reduce. Next nutrient cycle that we are going to talk is about phosphorus cycle. So you know phosphorus is a very important ingredient. It is present in our DNA. Can you give me any other example of biomolecule where phosphorus is present? Very easy.
Nucleic acids.
That too I said DNA. ATP.
Rock.
अरे भगवान, बायोलॉजिकल सिस्टम में रॉक.
हम रॉक में भी तो होगा ना.
But biological system I am asking.
तो
Can't you remember about
triphosphate.
ATP, adenosine triphosphate?
Yes.
Apart from that, there are phospholipid, phosphoprotein. All these things are having phosphorus present in them. So obviously, human beings require phosphorus. Apart from that, our shell, bones, teeth, it has calcium, phosphate, and other parts which are responsible for giving our body some kind of protection. So the natural reservoir of phosphorus is always rock. Okay, and this rock is having phosphorus in the form of phosphate. So metal phosphates are present in the rock. When there is withering of rock means rock is broken down into smaller pieces, further smaller, and the smaller amount of withered rock are getting dissolved in the soil. That means when rock is going to get converted into soil, the phosphate present in the rock is dissolved in the soil solution. And this soil solution with phosphate can be absorbed by the plants. So we don't have any source of phosphate. ऐसा नहीं है कि हम में से कोई soil खा लेता है और वहां से phosphate directly ले लेता है. Human being obtain phosphate through the food, and food means finally we are obtaining it from plants. So whenever any organism, be it plant or animal, die, then these dead organisms are decomposed by phosphate solubilizing bacteria. So they are the bacteria which are solubilizing phosphate to release phosphorus. And this is the form of phosphorus cycle. So you can see that this is the geological uplift, and weathering of phosphorus rocks are releasing the phosphate. You can say that phosphate is present in the soil part, and then this phosphate is utilized by plants as well as animal, and there are some, when they die, the detritus will retain the phosphate in the soil. So it's a comparatively simple cycle, but it is a very important cycle because, as I told you, it's part of important biomolecules. So the difference between carbon and phosphorus cycle is, carbon cycle is much complicated and bigger cycle, whereas phosphorus is smaller. And here it is done by gaseous exchange, and here gaseous exchange is negligible. So phosphorus cycle is a sedimentary cycle. So with this we are done with the cycle, but let me tell you, in grade 11, in chapter number 12, you must have studied about the nitrogen cycle, and all of you in lower grade talked about water cycle. So these two cycles are another two very important biogeochemical cycle which is present in the environment. Apart from that, there is oxygen cycle. So we will now go to the last part, that is ecosystem services. So whenever there is ecosystem where biotic and abiotic components are under constant interaction, there are certain products, achievable or scoreable products, which are obtained from that kind of ecosystem. And these products are called ecosystem services. So they don't do it with their sense, or they don't do it with their conscience. They live their life, and we obtain it as a byproduct from them. For example, the ecosystem services provided by a healthy forest is, it will purify air and water, definitely, because it can absorb the CO2, and it can like absorb it for photosynthesis to reduce its amount. It can purify water also. How? Because it is said that the trees bring rain. The amount of evaporation caused by transpiration method is responsible for formation of rain clouds. Okay. Next thing is mitigate droughts and flood. Obviously, if water cycle is normal and the rains are there, it can mitigate the droughts. And I must say that another coin side of the coin is flood. Not directly, indirectly, the healthy forest will prevent flood also. How? Because in healthy forest, the roots of the trees are binding the soil particles so tightly that the chances of slides or loss of soil or those kind of things will be less. Apart from that, the water cycle can be easily controlled, so there will not be unnecessary heavy rain, and that's how it can control the flood. There will be proper cycling of the nutrients. they will generate definitely fertile soil. There are certain plants which are responsible for acting as a very good reservoir of nutrients. So when these trees dies, or their death is there, or their leaf or fruits fall down, they are also decomposed by decomposer, and they generate a very fertile soil. It will provide the wildlife a habitat. It will be home of those animals. It will maintain the biodiversity inside a protected forest. Animals and other plants are safe. So if forest is there, the diversity is safe. Obviously, if there is a healthy forest, it will not include only plant. Animals are also part of forest, and some of them will be responsible for pollination of crops. They will provide a storage site of carbon, obviously, because each of us, we, Shabi, Ananya ma'am, all of us are a very rich source of carbon. Apart from that, forest is somewhere where we can go, we can see. Have you ever been to in a forest? You spent a night in a forest bungalow, Di Shabi?
Yes, ma'am.
कभी एक्सपीरियंस हुआ है फॉरेस्ट में रहने का?
Yes, ma'am. Experience.
You should see how many sounds are there in like Ahmedabad, like cities where too many mechanical sounds are there. We don't, if like we will not be able to hear the sound of nature. In forest during night time, so such great silence is there, and it's like green is the color which is most soothing for our eyes. So it is obviously related to our aesthetic value. It is related to cultural and physics, spiritual values. We like city people may not be that much emotionally attached with forest, but there are tribal people. Forest, they call forest their god. They call forest as their mother, because they obtain from food to shelter to clothes to medicine. For everything, they go to forest. So that's why it is like a source of providence of aesthetic, cultural, and spiritual values too. So there was this man, uh, Robert Costanza. Uh, they actually tried to put a price tags on nature life support system. So it was an effort to make us understand that free of cost what we get from forest. So they calculated that the services provided by forest is equivalent to $33 trillion per year, which is twice the value of global gross national product. That means अगर हम consider करें कि national product, consider India is having certain resources, and we put it a price tag. So if we have summation of all nations product, gross product of all nation, then that summation is only $18 trillion, whereas uh, the forest services are measured as $33 trillion, almost double. Okay. Out of that, soil formation, out of this $33 trillion, soil formation is accountable for 50% of its cost. And recreation, nutrient cycling, it is 10%. And climate regulation and habitat for wildlife is 6%. So that's all about this chapter. So this was a nice chapter where we learned about different parts of ecosystem. We talked about different components of ecosystem, their interaction, food chain, food web, different pyramids, laws of ecosystem. We talked about the ecological succession. We talked about productivity. What are the characters of ecosystem? And finally, we talked about nutrient cycle and ecosystem services today. So any doubts in any of this part we discussed? So please look into the videos I post in YouTube. And if you have any doubt, we can discuss in our next class. Okay.